All right, we are live. I'm going to walk you through this very carefully so that you understand how to go about this. So, first, very important point for everything you will do for me, pretty much everything, you will argue your point. You're not just going to say, well, my opinion is this, or I really believe, or I think. None of that goes in the essay, and none of that matters. What matters is that you focus a specific position, thesis that you're willing to defend. Defend is a big word here because it means no one simply goes along with your point of view, accepts it, will even honor it. You simply offer it as, well, that's what I feel at the moment, or that's what I think. If you focus it specifically, if you structure the essay, and if you offer specific evidence and an abundance of it, then believe me, I, anyone else of an academic background who reads your essay will be very interested and very receptive. So that's what we have to think of in terms of audience. The audience has read your story already, read Rose for Emily, seen the video. What does that suggest? That you're not rehashing any part of that doesn't pertain to a point that you're making. You're not saying, well, wasn't it interesting how Emily Grierson's father died and she held on to the body? We don't want that if it doesn't pertain to the point that you're making. So that's where the attorney in the courtroom metaphor sometimes helps a lot. You're thinking in terms of advancing a viewpoint and offering specific evidence and lots of it, lots and lots of evidence. That's what we need. We need you to dig into specific quotations from the text version. And by the way, using the term text version helps enormously so that we know you're talking about Faulkner's version versus what? Video version, video adaptation. So if you use those terms to clarify, it helps. And you're digging into what we call primary evidence. Primary evidence would be quotations that help support your point from the story. Short, sweet, not on and on and on, but they are quotations, and you have used MLA parentheticals, which you well know about, to document, to credit what you've borrowed. If you paraphrase, and you should, you're using MLA parentheticals to document. As far as documenting from the video version, you don't have to. You simply mention the specific scene in which, and then you delve into those specifics. So what does this imply? That you're digging, that you're doing almost a detective work like job of digging, or archaeologist like job of digging for evidence that you can use and support to back your point. The reasoning that connects that evidence is of prime importance here. So that's what we're looking for. Now let's take an example. Let's say, just for example, that you want to zero in on one specific comparison contrast. So we're doing an argument, we're doing comparison contrast, but not in the sense that comparison contrast can imply, here I have this nice long list of similarities, here I have this nice long list of differences. Don't want it, don't care. Pick one or just a couple by way of zeroing in and delve into the significance or implications. So, significance is a word that is so important here. Uh, that's how you have something to offer in an essay of this type. You use a powerful instrument, your mind, to come up with what these implications might be. Not just, let's take, for example, that Emily Grierson is depicted in a radically different way, for example, in the video version versus the text version, in terms of the courtship of Homer Barron for Emily Grierson. And so the characterization itself, by implication, comes across as very different. Now it's up to you to determine whether or not you think one is more effective than the other. But this whole idea of just saying, well, I like the video version better, or I like the text version better, and trying to turn that into an essay, that will fall flat on its face. It will self destruct. So it's not just a matter of, well, that's my opinion. Not at all. So let's further this a little bit. How do you get a sense of urgency about wanting to make a point, wanting to back a point? So I suggest you do a little role playing. on this, and this can work for you. So imagine that you've just gone to a movie or a concert with some friends, and you all have very different ideas about the implications of a certain scene in that movie, for example, what it suggested, what it meant, what it symbolized. And your friends are sort of just talking about this, and one of them is the typical dominate the conversation, just like I'm doing right now. Take over the whole thing, and you don't have a chance to get a word in. But you're burning to share your idea, which contradicts the speaker's ideas, and very much so, but you can't get anything said. And that sense of urgency, of really truly wanting to support, to present, to argue a point, is the essence of the role that you need to play in order to do these essays well. That is absolutely the rhetorical bottom line. Trying to have a sense of, I really want to push this. I really want to promote this. I really want to convince you, audience. Persuasion. So really consider that and focus, especially. Again, we don't want a laundry list of similarities and differences. We want specifics. Here's one: the way in which the mansion itself is depicted, Emily's home. The way in which Emily's demise is depicted in the text version versus the video version. There are so many. The way in which Homer Barron is depicted, right? The role of the townspeople, very different. They seem to act almost like a chorus in a Greek play in the written story, in the written version of it. Yet, we don't see that technique translated at all into the video. Is that a loss? Is that a loss of meaning? Is it inevitable that a written version will be far superior to the video version? Not necessarily. It doesn't always turn out that way. Okay, so we have a rough draft, and it's not rough, by the way. It's the best you can do at that point. Complete with 800 should be to 1,000 words. Typed, double spaced, MLA parentheticals within it. Don't tell me, oh, I wanted to put those in, but I didn't get to it. Don't tell me I had this little idea, but I just wanted to float it out there, and you give me a couple of sentences. No. You give me the whole draft, all 800 to 1,000 words of it, typed out by the 27th, and there will be discussion at that point. Now, if prior to that point, you or after, you want to meet with me and discuss your essay, guess what? You can. And here's my phone number: 559-361-5144. If you call that, leave a message, what have you, and you want to schedule an appointment, I would be more than happy to do that with you. And it can be Zoom, it can be FaceTime, but I'm going to look at your paper and talk to you. It can be over the phone, however you want to do that. But you would schedule a meeting, and we usually go, a few minutes, but it is in lieu of office hours. And I'd be happy to do that with you and support you in that way. All right. So you're going to take a focused approach on this. You're going to argue your point. You're going to use comparison contrast, and you're going to do. I can't say anybody can do this. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. You just kind of have to know how to go about it. So that's what I am trying to help you do. So have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you down the road. Good luck.